beloved vlog watchers, and welcome to another webisode of my story, where I tell a fictional version of my life story in 30-minute webisodes. And we're pretty much at the end of this series. I'm wrapping it up, guys. I really am. This webisode, though, in particular, is going to be, what do they call them? The throwback episodes, like the wrap them up and like go over the whole season episode. Yeah, I don't know my terms very well. So anyway, what I want to go over with this webisode is my religious and intellectual journey and how I've always tried to keep them parallel. So yeah, I grew up Christian, and I grew up in two Christian type of homes. One that took the Christianity very seriously, a Southern Baptist type, and the other one that didn't take it very seriously at all. And I grew up in a more spiritual family and home too. I wouldn't say atheist. It wasn't atheist, but it was more spiritual. And kind of the Christianity put a lot of fear into me. The Southern Baptist one, it like put a lot of fear into me, yet the love for God in my heart has always been there. And the one that didn't take it very seriously, I don't know, I feel like that one helped cultivate the love even more. But I had a Catholic best friend. So I learned a lot about Catholicism as a child. And as a child, I studied Hinduism, I studied Buddhism, and I think that's about it. As a young adult, I studied Hinduism. I studied Islam, which I studied it in a way to not like it, if that makes sense. I don't really like Islam that much, but I do see the wisdom in it now. I didn't study it to gain wisdom. But anyway, the only thing that I didn't ever study as much was Judaism. And then as I got older, I met in the last 10 years, in my 30s, I met some rabbis and some wonderful Jewish mystics that were so willing to share with me and to teach me. And whenever I went back into Christianity, because I separated from it and then I went back into it. And whenever I went back into it, I wanted to have that deep intellectual understanding of Christianity, because all the other religions, I just have the intellectual understanding of it. But Christianity, I guess you could say, the lived experience of it. And so I wanted the intellectual understanding of Christianity too. So, and around the same time, I was able to meet a lot of, Jewish mystics, to learn a little more about Judaism, and I started getting into really learning about the Bible. I wanted to learn everything about the Bible. I read the Bible front to back. I read the Bible back to front. I read the Bible front to back and back to front again. And, this is in my 30s now. I did that as a child too, but now I'm in my 30s doing it yet again. And this time I'm really wanting to get to know it. And I'm learning about Hebrew and how the modern day Hebrew is similar, but not the ancient Hebrew at all. And I want to learn about the history, and I want to learn about the church history too, and Christianity and stuff. Well, I live in a city of colleges, and you can go to these colleges without paying, and you can ask professors to sit in on their class. You can do the work. They're not going to grade it. Sometimes you can turn the work in, but sometimes they don't want you to turn the work in. They'll be like, no, you can't turn the work in. So there's just different professors. But anyway, I live in a city of colleges, and there's multiple colleges, but one of them is a Bible college, and it's, the Baptist college. And I was going to this college, and I was sitting in on these church history classes and Bible understanding classes and stuff. And I'm like sitting there with men that are learning to be preachers. They're going to go on to be preachers in all these churches that we have. I mean, look around any town in the South, there's at least 2 churches. I don't care how big the town is, there's 2 churches, and these men are going to be the preachers and the pastors, and they're learning this stuff with me. And there comes a point in Christianity, Bible history, where you're like, why are we acting like this is like, I don't know how to describe this, because it's so hard to describe if you've never gone through it. There comes a point where it's like, this is not what we say it is. We've just created these outlines to say that it's what it is, and we're just going with it because that's what we've agreed on. And I don't know, it just becomes so evident, and it was evident to all the other future preachers in my class too. And I was asking them, I was like, how do you reconcile that? What is it that makes you think that, because this isn't no more true, like the only thing, it is true, but it's the only path. That part is like, anyway, what they told me, they were like, what it comes down to for us is basically, we learn for sure that we have copies of manuscripts that started after the death of what we're claiming the writers to be, who we're claiming the writings to be, I don't know. And I'm like, how do we reconcile this? You know, and the Council of Nicaea, there's, you see what I'm saying? The standards have been put down, and we just continually follow those standards. And the Council of Nicaea was just one of many councils, and we put down these standards, and that's what we go by, and we say that it's the only way, yet we'll change it next year. And that's kind of like why there's so many different churches up everywhere, because this one has this one only one way, and this one has this one only one way. And it's like, how do you know that? And they were like, well, it's all, Christianity, whether you're Catholic, Baptist, Methodist, whatever. It's all Christianity. And so, but they said the way that they reconcile that they for sure have the truth is because of the persecutions. Yes, they're copies of copies of copies, but people were willing to die. Like, they were persecuted unto death because they believed in the reality of these copies. And for them, that makes it true. Like, it makes it real. The persecution times. Because we forget that, we're like, well, they started circulating way after the death. Well, yeah, because if they were circulated during the life or shortly after their life, they were persecuted unto death. And so, like, that understanding with a lot of the preachers in my class, it was sufficient for them. And for me at the time, it was sufficient for me too. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, yeah, they were persecuted unto death. I mean, yeah. And you wouldn't go, like, if you look into that history and that time and you look into the persecutions that they endured, you wouldn't endure all that for what you believed could be false, what might have been false. It would have to stand on true truth to withstand what the persecuted Christians of early Roman days went through. And that reconciled it for them. And then as far as following the standards, I mean, their mentality in their life is, you've got to have standards, and So standards upon standards upon standards. I mean, isn't that where we are in humanity? It's how I feel it is for my culture, my religion, everything. But it was sufficient for me too, and I enjoyed my time learning about church history. It really was a wonderful time. I enjoyed it a whole lot. And then I moved into, that was about the time that I found serious joy, because like I said, literally 1 month before I found serious joy, I was making fun of people that do zodiacs and stuff. It's kind of funny. But yeah, and then I found serious joy, and I felt like I was going to move into this metaphysical school, and I joined pagan and witch communities. Now, I want to be clear here, I don't consider myself a pagan or a witch. Some Christians, if they saw what I do daily, they would say, "You're a witch." But I don't consider myself a witch. I consider myself an ally to witches and pagans, and I began to join their communities to, see more, get more in depth of why they believe the way that they believe and why they live the life that they live. Because I feel like I had exhausted the Christianity stuff. And how do I want to put this? I seen how the witches and the pagans are continued to be persecuted today. But it's not as much. And I used to dismiss it so much because I would be like, oh my gosh, like the Salem witch trials was just a couple of years, which in the grand history is like a blink of the eye, and it was just in one little spot. But whenever you look at the English witch trials over there at the UK, yeah, there's a whole different story. And I I began to realize that, and I began to realize that it runs deep, because trauma is stored in our DNA in our bodies, and ancestral and trauma such as that, it continues to live. And I can see how there's a modern day after effect of the persecution of pagans and witches kind of living on today. And because of my time in seminary school, and us rationalizing that the text and their originality is, there was a persecuted time. So this is actually the miracle that we have what we have with the persecutions that went on. It becomes a miracle that we still have witches for the same reason. That we still have pagans for the same reason. And I begin to see that. So, if the persecuted times and the overcoming of the persecuted times with the knowledge and the understanding within it is a sign that it's true truth, well, then the pagans and the witches have true truth too. That was hard for me to reconcile in my head for a little bit. I chewed on that for a while with my guides and my angels. But it comes to a reconciliation. Like, my guides and my angels have promised me that every single contradiction can come to a restoration, a solution. So that's pretty cool. And that one did. It does. It's still easy with anything that you neutralize polarities of. You can easily go to any pole at that point. It's easy to but you learn to gain control too. Anyway, another thing that was happening during this time right before the metaphysical school, I think I told you guys of a time that I kind of got upset with my husband, and I found myself in the place where I'm living now, talking to Jesus, and I was upset, but he was like, "Did you know that you can time travel? Did you know I can? I'll show you." And he showed me how to time travel, and then for a while, I would just time surf all the time. I'm just what I call time surfing, and I never like go into the timelines. I would just, surf them and look at them and surf them and just have a blast. And once I was into the metaphysical school, I have daily spiritual practices. I commune with spiritual beings daily. I commune with my highest divine self and Mother, Father, God, and Goddess, the Most High daily, and I have spiritual practices. Through my communion with the angels, and I want to make it clear, it's not like I see like all these angelic beings with big wings on all around me and they're talking to me. It's not like that, guys. I'm talking about real reality here. Angels are like they're the higher angelic angels that make Earth. Their frequencies, their vibration, their colors. Can you paint with all the colors of the wind? That's what I'm doing. So anyway, with these angels, they kind of enrolled me. They were like, would you like to do some spiritual work working with us? There's certain things you can do working with us. And I was down. I was like, yeah. And so basically, I was given spiritual, metaphysical tasks to do on this spiritual astral realm. And I would have, angels with me. I would do all kinds of stuff. Like sometimes, I'm vacuuming up dark spots and sending them into their black holes. And, like other times, I don't know, different things. But then there were certain tasks where like they would send me into points of time where all I did was love, hold light, send love and light to the people there. And they were going through really hard times, but my sending love and light helped to lighten their load. A lot of times whenever I would be out there doing this stuff, I wouldn't be the only one. I would encounter other people like me that are in bodies physically but meditating, and they're up in the astral realm, and like I'm vacuuming and they're vacuuming. I'm like, what's up? They're like, hey. And just vacuuming away, just hanging out at this timeline, loving everyone, what's up? Hey, yeah. Look, we love them. It was like that kind of stuff. And then I began to realize the reason for me learning to time travel is so I can do this work with you guys, right? And they were like, I'm asking the angels, and the angels were like, yeah. And I was like, so whenever I was time surfing, that was just nonsense. They're like, we haven't seen that very often, but you were having a good time doing it, so we didn't want to stop you. And I was like, oh. So there's a reason for moving through time. There's just, you can have fun with it too, and I think that that's part of what being a spiritual being is all about, is having fun with your spirituality, like, don't all have to be serious, you can time surf. But the meaning of learning to navigate timelines like that is to use it. And any skill that we learn, the meaning of learning our skills is to use it for the highest good, the best that we can. And that's what I do now. It's part of what I do, and I'm not sure if I wanted to put that out there, but I do, because I wanted to confirm others that are doing that. I know that seeing others on the astral realm is cool, but you don't, until somebody, and I've had this experience, until someone says Saw you last night. Here on Earth. You're not sure if you're really doing something or if you're just imagining things and pretending to be someone, you know? So it's cool to get confirmation. And there's some people that are being called. You're being called into spiritual service. And it's time. Sometimes the service that we do is not so evident to all the physical beings, but we can do spiritual service whenever we're between lifetimes. We do a lot of spiritual service. A lot of us do. Where we'll do what I was doing. We go to different times that we understand that the humanity needs more love and we can be there in spirituality. It's not a guarantee that the actual living physical beings of that time and that point in space are going to receive it. But if you saturate it enough, it's almost as if it doesn't matter if they do. But it's not guaranteed, but it is a guarantee that it helps grow your soul. So that's a cool thing. The idea that there's no real altruism, I don't know. I'm just going to get on to rambling now because I've done told you all the stuff I wanted to tell you. I wanted to take you down my religious road. Also during the metaphysical school, that's whenever I met the metaphysical Jewish guy, and he taught me Kabbalah, like intense. And Kabbalah it's in my blood and bones. I feel it. Like I know Kabbalah. Like just like the step astrology. I wasn't taught step astrology. I remembered step astrology. I wasn't taught Kabbalah. I remembered Kabbalah, and I felt like just, when the student's ready, the teacher appears, and it was an honor to have the wonderful Jewish mystic teacher that I got to learn Kabbalah from. And, I told y'all about my studies in the priestess school, just all kinds of metaphysical studies and such, but I guess that's all that I got for you guys. I think this is the wrap up, and I continue to study, I continue to read metaphysical books. I will always be a student, and hopefully I can be a teacher too. And not necessarily to heal the world or to make a utopia or anything like that, but just to play my part and to be my part for others that need my part to be played. It'll be played. So it doesn't have to be for everyone. Anyways, guys, that's all I got for you today. I've gone through it. That was my spiritual journey. Now I have a love. I have a love for every single religion out there. I can see the holiness and the sacredness of all of them, and I never thought that I would say that. I was so polarized. I've been on all ends of the polars. And whenever you're on the polar ends, it's impossible to see. You only see what's opposite. But unity is possible. It's not guaranteed, but it's possible. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm so grateful to have you along with my journey, my fictional story. Thank you so much for being here. And I guess I'll see you on the next one, which I think is going to be our final one. So thank you so much for joining us. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to put them in the comment section. I'm so grateful to all those that comment. And I'm so grateful to all of you who watched all the way to the end. As always, be blessed with love. As we wrap up this incredible journey together, I want to express my deepest gratitude to each and every one of you. Your energy Your love and your support have made this My Story series truly magical. And before we part ways, I want to take a moment to thank you for spending your precious time with me. Your comments, likes, and shares have warmed my heart, and I'm endlessly grateful for the connections that we've built. Remember, your energy has created a unique and beautiful community here at the Mystic Hillbilly. Now, as we venture forward, I feel it's essential to address something crucial. Unfortunately, the online world isn't always filled with positive vibes. There are scammers out there who may misuse my pictures and pretend to be me. Please be cautious. I will never reach out to you first. The only way to get a reading from me is by reaching out to my official email or website. If someone contacts you claiming to be me, it's more than likely a scam. I would never ask you to pay for a reading in that way. Remember, I believe in truth, integrity, and the law of attraction. If you're meant to receive guidance from me, the universe will guide you to me and not the other way around. Trust the process and let your intuition be your guide. And before we say our goodbyes, I'd like to humbly ask you for your support. As a new YouTuber, every bit counts. If you've enjoyed our time together, consider donating. The links are in the description. And for just $2 a month, you can unlock exclusive content on my Patreon, including Mystic Message outtakes, full moon and new moon card readings, and a 40-day transformation challenge. Your support would mean the world to me. Thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate you. Love, love, and more love to each of you. Let's stay connected in the cosmic dance that we call life. Until we meet again, stay blessed, protected, and full of positive vibes. That's all she got.